This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP network.
This is episode 630 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast for September 24th, 2024. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. We are so glad to have you here joining with us. We have a fantastic show for you today. Fantastic guest for you today as well.
Yes.
Yeah, friend of the... Shh.
Sorry.
I'm learning my shushing, by the way. Well, the voices you are hearing, joining me, I have Lee.
Hello, Ron.
Tracy.
Hello.
Michelle.
Hi.
And our good friend of the show, Andrew Stonecypher.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Nice to see you. Oh,
Yeah.
nice to talk
hear you.
to you.
Nice to hear you.
Yeah,
Yes, nice to talk to you guys.
it is.
This has been a long time in the making, I feel.
Yes.
Very long.
Yeah. But we are super excited to have you on the show. Before we get into it, I just want to say UUOP is brought to you by the Producers Club. Join today and get bonus episodes, chance to be guest host, be part of our awesome Facebook community, and more. Head over to uUOP.supercast.com to subscribe. Shameless plug.
That was the best shameless plug I have ever heard. It was perfect.
I reckon you just cut that out
And
and,
just
put
put
it in
that in
every
every
week.
episode,
Yeah.
Run the ad.
Yeah. That's what you have to do. That's what we say. That's brilliant.
So I know you heard Andrew. I want to say we want to welcome former artist and designer of Universal Parks and Resorts merchandise, Andrew. So it's not just Andrew. It's a full title there.
Yes.
It's a mouthful for sure.
Yeah. So let's get into this, right? So Andrew, who are you? What is your background? And how did you get into art?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Right? No, hey guys. For those who don't know me, I'm Andrew Stonecypher. I'm currently art director at Roosevelt's, but formerly artist and designer for Universal Parks. I did that from 2016 to 2023. Big theme park fan, did it my whole life, artist and illustrator, designer. So those are kind of my two loves, and that's what I get to do every day for work. So yeah, all things pop culture, all things Universal, Disney, horror, all that kind of stuff is my life. So it's kind of my elevator pitch a little bit.
Yeah. Well, where did the love of that come from then, Andrew?
I think my parents, I was raised in Virginia. And like a lot of families, we did like the once a year, trek down to Disney World in Florida, and stayed there for a week. And it was kind of just implemented into who I was. Every year we did it, and I loved it so much. And it became, I always watched the movies and did all that kind of stuff, and played with the toys and doodled in my notebooks in school, the maps of the theme parks and stuff like that. So I don't know. I credit it to my parents, my mom, my dad, for just bringing that into my life. And it's something I grabbed onto, and it's just a passion of mine. I just love it so much.
Did you have anybody in the family or friends that were also artists, right? Because I cannot draw a stick figure for anything in my life. Art is the furthest thing that I can do. I love it to death, but I can't do it. But did you have somebody in your life, like a parent or something?
I never had a quote unquote artist or designer in the family. My dad was very creative. He had a creative mind, and he still does today. And, he couldn't draw or anything like that, but it was there. It was in his head. He could see it. And so I think I picked up a lot of that from my dad. I picked up a lot of it just from watching the movies and the cartoons, I was on Saturday mornings watching Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera and all that kind of stuff. So it's just something that I loved. And, I doodled all the time. I never considered it being a job for me when I was younger. I graduated high school, and I'm like, I got to go to college and do something. And I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor or any of this stuff. So hey, look, I doodle. So let me try this. And, knock on wood, I think it worked out. But that's kind of how it happened.
You see, I'm so glad you said you doodled, because our youngest is studying art at the moment, and they go mad when I tell people, oh yeah, they're art doodling. They're at uni doing art doodling.
It's more than that.
Uh-huh.
It is, but it winds them up.
Placemats in restaurants with the crayons, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's this work of arts all around the world, wherever you've been at, is what we're saying.
Landfills all over the country.
Yeah,
I think people forget, don't they, how much art is a part of your daily life. It's more than just shirts or theme park merchandise or whatever, or paintings or whatever. It's literally everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, especially today. I mean, with social media, everybody's an artist. There's graphic arts. There's, everybody's making video edits, and there's so much art out there right now. My daughter is still full force into it and evolving, and it's really actually amazing to see that so many artists out there that used to, a decade or so ago used to struggle. Now there's so many doors open to artists, and I think it's really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So from studying art, or doodling, as you put it, how did you make the leap into working for Universal?
So how it happened was, when I went to school, I went to Ringling College Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. So that's how I got down to Florida. Graduated high school, moved from Virginia to Sarasota, did that whole thing and I originally started as a computer animation major, and I wanted to go work for Pixar and do the movies and stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
For those who know animation, it's very rigorous. It's very time consuming. You can spend years on just 30 seconds that gets cut out of the film in the end. And, it was a little too much for me. So I wanted something a little bit more fast paced. So I switched to illustration. And so I started doing that. And I'm like, well, I still want to work for Disney. I still want to work for Pixar. I still want to work for Universal, those kind of things. And the theme park specifically, because now that I was living in Florida, I had an annual pass. I was going on the weekends, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I want to do this. And my junior year, they start coming and recruiting, right? So like Disney will come to campus and they'll recruit. Hasbro will come to campus, they'll recruit. It's almost like a sport. They come and they look at your portfolios, and if they like you, they interview you and stuff like that. So Universal came. And I submitted my portfolio just by chance. I didn't even know they were there that day. I was coming down the elevator from class going to lunch, and I ran into this guy, and it was a group of Universal folks. And I was like, holy cow, Universal's here. So I went and submitted my portfolio, and they called me in for an interview, and it was Brian Beauregard, my soon-to-be boss, which I had no idea. And long story short, they're like, hey, would you love to come be an intern during the summer in between your junior and senior year? And I said, absolutely. Went up there for 3 months during the summer, and that's kind of how my journey began with the company.
Wow. That had to be nerve-wracking, I feel, a bit, right? Like Universal?
A little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, you don't... When you're in that position, you think they're all superheroes kind of thing. You don't realize that every single person working for the company, and not just that company, any company, is a person, and they go home and they have families and they have kids. And, so you just have to kind of bring that aspect of life into it, and it reduces the pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
It's such a huge thing now, though. More so, I mean, we've tried to do it with the podcast since we started it, of people like us who are complete theme park nerds, people like Mike Aiello and you to a certain extent, Andrew. Like, those people are, they're our front men, or the A-list actors of like our fandom, really. And I mean, you laugh, but it's true. Like, I remember bumping into Mike Aiello for the first time, and it was like I was meeting, like, I don't know, George Clooney or something. Like, oh my God, it's Mike Aiello. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Universal
I remember,
Jesus.
but it's true. I remember reaching out to you. I'll tell you the story of how Andrew and I first came into contact. I think I put a Facebook request.
Did you stalk?
Well, I did what I always do.
Yeah.
I find a
You're
name
a
and I put a friendship
He's
request
giving his
in.
version of the story, not the real one.
Yeah.
And
I still have the footage of you on my Ring camera at my front door.
And I can't remember. We just discussed, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that the guys in the office had listened to. We did I think it was top 5, either merchandise we wanted to see or something that our top 5 merchandise that we owned or something. Oh yeah, the guys in the office had listened to it, and that was like, when I find that people who work there are listening to what we do, it kind of freaks me out, because I think, what have I said that I probably shouldn't have done? And it blows me away that that there, but you're starting to see it more and more, like with you guys doing the art signings at the Five and Dime that you were doing for quite a while when you were there. The people like you and Lewis and Brian and like Michael and all the rest of them that are becoming actual figureheads for the company now, which they weren't for a long time, and it's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's totally fair. And listen, I still have those people too. I was at D23 a couple weeks ago in Anaheim, and Bob Gurr came into our booth.
Yes.
And I freaked out, and I've come to be friends with Tony Baxter, which is amazing. And, every time I go to dinner or something with him, I'm just like, I am sitting here with Tony Baxter.
Yep.
So cool.
He's a friend, but it's still crazy, So, no, I think that's totally fair. I still have the same, mindset. It is. It's kind of surreal when you meet certain people.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned, just to say before we move on, you mentioned Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
You can always save that for a midlife crisis, man. Just throwing it out there.
Yes. Listen, fantastic company. I am lucky enough to be working on Pixar stuff as we speak.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, we can get into all, what I'm doing now later, but no, very fortunate.
Awesome.
All right. So, Andrew, how about you give everybody an idea of how your particular department operated? Like, how did you create such awesome merch designs? Because I'll be the first to say I miss you. I miss you working for Universal.
Thank you. Yep. I appreciate that. That means a lot. No, that means a lot.
It's true.
So yeah, how it worked pretty much, we were a pretty tight-knit group. When I joined, there was probably like 40 of us total in the office. And, as the company grew, we grew as well. But that office consists of the art department, which was probably one of the smaller areas in the office. It was our creative director, Brian, and then, my guys, Louis and Jose, who were the other artists. And we were the three, artists on the team. And then we had, our production artist, Lisa, and, our licensee contact people and those folks. And then the rest of the office was kind of like buyers and logistics on how to get the stuff from the factories to the parks and all that kind of stuff. So what would happen is it was kind of seasonal, is like, right after the event, we'll use Halloween Horror Nights as an example.
Why not?
Is the season.
Yeah.
Let's say, Halloween Horror Nights just ended and it's, the beginning of November, and you're already kind of talking about, or already have had to start talking about Halloween Horror Nights for the next year. So you kind of meet with entertainment and you get a theme. They're like, okay, for 2019, we're thinking 80s. Okay. And we've got these IPs that are lined up. They're not locked in, but they're lined up. So we can kind of think, okay, well, we got Ghostbusters and Stranger Things and those kind of things. So then, the buying team will go, okay, here's all the assortments we want to have. We're going really heavy Stranger Things and we're going really heavy Ghostbusters. And those are kind of going to be our pinnacles. For like an anniversary with Jack would be a really big pinnacle program. So they go, okay, within these programs, we need hats and glasses and T-shirts and toys and blah, blah, blah. So within that, you kind of, you start dissecting it piece by piece and going, okay, for a T-shirt, we need one piece of art. Okay, we love this piece of art, so we're going to make a mug out of it and stuff like that. Sometimes all those products are already listed beforehand, and sometimes everybody in the office just sees a really cool piece of art. They're like, we like this. We think this is going to sell. Let's add a mug to it. Let's add a cell phone case to it. So creatively, we kind of have that, okay, I need to do a Jack piece. I need to do a Ghostbusters piece, blah, blah, blah. I will do it. I'll kind of I would pitch to my creative director, Brian. I'd say, hey, this is what I'm kind of thinking for this, for like Jack, I want to make a Ringmaster Jack circus poster. He goes, okay, I love the idea. I go kind of do it, show it to him. He likes it. And we're off and moving. With properties, IPs, it's a little bit different, same kind of process, but then you have to show it to the licensor, so you have to send it to Sony, you'd have to send it to Netflix, and, they give you comments and stuff like that, or they'll say, hey, we love it, it's approved. But that's kind of like in a nutshell how it works, is it's very like smooth. It's like, hey, what do we need? What do we have to put on the shelves? And now we have to put artwork on those products.
I think that seems to be, because I know from things we've heard about Disney, and you said there that the department being as small as it is makes it easier for things to move smoother because it hasn't got to go through so many people.
Yeah, correct. That's fair. And that's why, in the first couple of years, especially before we really started growing, it was really at its most creative point. The there weren't as many cooks in the kitchen at that point in time. So it was a smoother process. Once you have so many hands touching stuff, it just slows it down really, because everybody wants ownership on that.
I don't think we've actually asked, when did you start at Universal then, Andrew? I don't think we've actually established
2016. I started as an intern.
Did he?
Yeah. I can't remember.
And then I had to go back to school, and then I came back, and when I graduated, we kind of had a deal lined up where I would graduate, and then I'd move back up to Orlando and start full time.
It's good, again, that just shows how Universal like to not necessarily promote from inside, but like once you're under their wing, they're quite happy for you to move up or become like a huge part. Like they're just that we're gonna bring you in for the summer, give you like basically an internship, but then that opportunity for you to grow into bigger and better things is there. I mean, obviously the poster child for that's Mike Aiello, isn't it? Again,
yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I have to ask then, what was do you remember what your first assignment was then when you started? Like, let's go past your internship. Once you were officially working there, what was the first thing you got your hands on?
Yeah, so very first thing, I'll go full time, but real quick, I'll mention my internship was all Volcano Bay. So that was that point in time where we did all that. So I worked on Volcano Bay and then went back to school, came back. And I think my very first project was like Rock the Universe. I think I did a t-shirt. And then this was around the time where they were going to open Honk Honkers Cotton Candy. Rest in peace.
Yes.
And I did all the packaging for that. And those were kind of my first two assignments that I really remember is those two. After that, geez, I can't remember. I probably started on like the big 29, what was it? It got pushed back. At the time, I think it was 2017, we were doing a multi-character program for the park. And it kind of looked like a comic book panel a little bit. It had all the, Minions and Simpsons and Transformers and all that kind of stuff on it. I think that was one of my very first projects as well. But around those three, maybe in a different order, were where I started.
Interesting. Yeah, because you're always going to remember the first stuff you got to work on. I mean, Volcano Bay was such a huge one as well. That you actually got to work on the artwork for something that was brand new is awesome.
Brand new, yeah. I was, 19, I think, at the time when I started on it. The fun thing about Volcano Bay, too, was there were, which is good and bad. There was no IPs on it, so it was very creative. At the time, I loved doing cartoons, so I implemented a lot of character designs that I did and stuff like that. And it was fun. I mean, listen, for a 19-year-old and junior year out of college, you can get to do all Volcano Bay. Are you joking? Like it was opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Honestly, you don't even, in my opinion, don't even need an IP for Volcano Bay because that whole theme of Tiki and just expanding the way you guys did on that was perfect. Just because I love water parks and I love Tiki, and I'm like, this is the perfect fusion of both of those.
It's a beautiful park. It's great.
Oh, yeah. It was so good.
Gorgeous.
And it was funny, you talked about Halloween Horror Nights and like the approval process, and I don't know what's changed since you left. I'm sure there's some type of changes other than just in artists, but like something that we've talked about extensively over at Rush of Fear was how this year there seems to be no like overarching theme with like the HHN merchandise. It seems like there's about 5 or 6 totally different lines of merchandise, and none of them like
not cohesion.
There's no cohesion, and this year of HHN feels very disjointed. Mainly because of, for us, we talked about is mainly because of like the marketing, and that includes the merchandising. It's very weird, very interesting. I don't know what changed to cause that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the first HHN in years that I walk in the park and I had nothing to do with it. And I'm strictly a guest, which, is, I walk in, it's a little bittersweet, because I worked on it for so long, but I can now enjoy it in a different way, so I don't know the answer, to be honest, of why, a lot of times actually I can tell you most of the times merchandise really didn't have a say in any of the properties. We were kind of told, hey, this is what it's going to be. And we would cross our fingers and hope that we had a Killer Clowns and a Ghostbusters and a Stranger Things and like, an all-star lineup. But, there's years like this where it seems it's a different direction, and I'm not sure, it could be a number of things. It could be on predictions. Hey, look, we don't know if we're going to have this many guests. It could be on economy. Hey, listen, we're not selling this many tickets, so we can't spend those licensing fees on what we would like. There's a number of things. And I know they just have so many projects on their plate right now.
Yes.
They're working on this, they're working on Epic, they're working on Vegas, which isn't an excuse, but, like I said, we're all people at the end of the day, and you can only be spread but so thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It just seemed like in the past there was like some type of theme, even though you had different IPs or, different products that you were working with, there was some type of theme, like whether it be, neon colors or Lil Boo or, what there was some, I don't want to say just Lil Boo, but like that cartoony look, like there seemed to be some type of cohesion amongst all of like them. And this year there's like the punk rock thing. And then there's also like this teal and red and tan color like merchandise, and
it's
then
like a
there's
multiple themed year.
There's like all these different
with each other.
There's all these different designs and like lines. There's no overarching like so what we talked about was like going backwards. 10 years from now, when we think back to 2024, year 33, we're not going to be like, oh, that was the year of Wicked Growth and Pumpkin Lord, or no, that was the year of where everything was 80s and neon. We're going to think back and be like, it was a good year, but I can't place any particular.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. And, I think we were so lucky with past couple years too. I mean, my favorite year so far has been 2019. And listen, there's just certain themes that you can just say 80s and everybody gets it. Punk rock, everybody might have a different idea of punk rock. And I think that's what we may be seeing. I have no doubt that everybody that worked on this gave it 100%.
Without a doubt.
It's hard to follow up when you have a home run like the past couple years.
2022 was amazing. That sort of old school Halloween, sort of pumpkins and crows. So I'll be quite honest, I could have bankrupted us for that. It was such a struggle to only buy what I did buy.
Don't give her.
No, that Christmas was just, I told you, we spent $250 with a friend's team member discount in our first trip to the tribute store in Christmas 2022. That's her thing. But yeah, I loved that year. All the merch was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody still gives it everything. Like I said, sometimes, it doesn't come together like it did, but at the end of the day, it's you see people, you go and you see people that you've never seen in a year, and it's still an amazing time and stuff like that. And that's kind of the most important part, is we wish, maybe the merchandise would be this, or we wish these IPs. But it's amazing that it's still a thing, and you can go see all these people and we can have these conversations and stuff like that. It's just it's an excellent time of year and a great event.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And Michelle,
at the end of the day, I still spent way too much money, Andrew. Don't let me.
Of course.
Don't get me wrong.
Michelle, you spent just the right amount.
I
totally get it. Trust me.
Well, Tracy and I will look back on 2024 as of that year after 2 years that we didn't go. So.
That's true.
Oh, you guys aren't coming this year?
Unfortunately not. No, we are coming out in...
Pause for editing. Pause for editing. Yeah, we're coming out in...
All right, so not to go too exhaustive because this list can go on.
I'm sure.
But what merch lines did you get to work on while at Universal? And before you answer that, this is more insight for our audience that is listening, that if you have been to the parks in recent years, you likely have a piece of merch that he has touched.
Oh yeah, because Andrew, I'm going to say, because there's stuff of yours that's still been available in the years since you've left.
Yes. Yeah. Shoot, this is a loaded question. A lot. Before
is it easier to list the stuff you haven't worked on?
Maybe. The great part, and especially because Halloween Horror Nights, is we did our stuff that is evergreen kind of in the park. You got Harry Potter, you got Minions, you got Transformers, you've got retro, which, Jaws, E.T., King Kong, stuff like that. And then we loved working on Halloween because it would bring these properties like Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns, Trick or Treat, that we could only work on for a little bit, but we kind of like add it to our just mental resume of, hey, I was able to work on this, which is, amazing. So, but to jump to your first question is, I worked on, I started on Volcano Bay and did almost all that merch when we opened up. I've done everything from like what we would call like the multi-character dated programs, which is kind of that thing you would see every year, every other year, where it's a t-shirt with like all the IPs on the park, Minions, Harry Potter, stuff like that. Did those. One thing I was really proud about was, I don't even think the park was open yet from the pandemic, but we released the retro program with like, took it back to 1990 with the neon marquee and stuff like that.
Yes.
That was one of my babies I did. So many different programs, and then so many sub programs too, like Studio Screamers, like, that's, that was one of my babies. And it's still something I hold very near and dear. And, so you have those things that I work like the wands for Harry Potter. How many people can say they designed a wand for Harry Potter?
Wow. That's awesome.
That's so cool.
And that's something that, I was able to do. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I've done so many things that it's kind of hard to remember everything. But that's kind of like a little taste of what we would do. We'd do A to Z, and we would do Rock the Universe and Mardi Gras and, all these events. And then when Velocicoaster would open, we'd work on that, and Hagrid's. And, there was only 3 of us. So
wow,
we would usually all touch the same, we touch everything in some capacity, whether it's maybe just a grand opening pin or it's, a massive piece of art that has 20 or 30 or 40 products attached to it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, a while back when we had spoken, the 3 that you mentioned, right? That was wasn't that Universal Parks globally?
Yes. Most of the stuff we would do was definitely Orlando and Hollywood. When Beijing was opening, we were working a lot on Beijing because you have to fill an entire park, right? So it was kind of like all hands on deck. A lot of times, like they now have their own merchandise artists in Beijing and Singapore and
Japan.
But if they saw something you were working on, they'd be like, hey, can we use this? And they would take it and kind of like put their spin on it and put it in their part. So, I did have artwork in Singapore and Japan and Beijing, which is like phenomenal. It's awesome. The other day I was on Twitter, and Universal Beijing is now doing the Halloween thing. And I saw my Series 1 Jack Studio Screamer as like a sugar cookie.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, holy cow. First, I didn't even know anybody wanted this anymore, and then it made it all the way to Beijing for their first event. So it's kind of those things that I'm looking forward to as the years go by, of like, who digs something back up, and I never know what I'm going to see, kind of thing.
That's sick. Yeah. I remember you mentioned Studio Screamers, and I remember something again when we were all hanging out a couple of years back, and you had mentioned with the Studio Screamers, right? I believe we were still in HHN season or transitioning into the holidays. Yeah, where you had mentioned that you were already working on the next year's HHN Screamers, and you have that insight into the some of the IPs that are going to be listed there. And I remember graciously offering you a double Long Island to see if I could discuss that a little further. You declined, but I have to try.
Of course. Yeah. It's funny. Luckily, I do not drink, which has probably saved my job many times. So that's a blessing in disguise. But yeah, certain things we'd plan out further. Like Studio Screamers, listen, like there's so many of them that I did that probably people will never see. But I was so passionate about that program in particular that when I was designing them, I also did Leatherface and Freddy Krueger and Ghostface and all these. Hey, if one day this property comes to HHN, there is a Screamer already designed for it.
Wow.
Will those ever see the light of day? I don't know. I hope one day they would. But there was so many. I had Killer Clowns, and I had Sam for Trick or Treat, and I had a Gremlin, I had a Gizmo.
What?
We need the unreleased Screamer set. That's what we need.
They didn't put out any this year.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? I'm sure there is.
They got Series 4.
Yeah, I've seen them because they're pretty cool this year. There's isn't Batilda one of them, or Batricia, whatever you want to call her?
Yeah, I'm not sure what her official name is. The only one that was my design this year was the Chaser Gillman. He was the Gillman from Series 1. And they reused him. I had no idea until I saw it on Twitter the other day. And he's like a metallic finish, and he's the Chaser in the group. But the rest of them, those aren't my designs. I did leave a lot, and I did have a Series 4 lined up of what I would have done. They went a different direction, which is fine. People still seem to really enjoy them. But yeah, I was always planning. When I did 1, I didn't even know if 2 was going to happen, Series 2, to be honest. I was like, I just hope people like these. And, 3 series later, I was so blessed to have. But I would line them up. Okay, if 1 happens, then I'll have 2 and 3 here. And I was it was very strategic where I didn't want to put all the monsters in 1. I didn't want to put all the really popular characters in 1. Because if Series 2 did happen, I didn't want it to be a bunch of duds. And that was kind of the mindset, but going on there. It was I did think ahead, mostly because I just love doing it. It was a passion project for me.
Yeah, props to you for keeping it secret, though, because honestly, like if I had look, man, you can hold a secret, because if I had that information, I'd be wanting to like blurt it out whenever like a hardcore HHN conversation comes out and people are like talking, which we kind of did a little bit, because I remember us getting, our group getting together and talking, and we would just kind of hint at certain things and look at your facial expressions and see, did his eye twitch a little bit? How was his upper lip? Did something move?
Absolutely. And sometimes it was always fun watching the speculation. It was like, where are they going to put, because I created a system where I almost had 2 monsters, 2 icons, and 2 IP. And so people are like, he did Frankenstein, so he's going to have Bride next year, or he's going to have, he had Jack, so now he's going to have these icons. And sometimes people would get close. But I always try to have like something out of left field, like Casper or something that kind of just like threw a wrench in it. It was something different that still made sense. And it was a little bit of something for everybody. You don't like the icons. Well, here's Casper, something like that.
And then have everyone going, why the hell's Casper?
And have everybody going, why is Casper in here? And exactly. I'm just like, I wanted to do it, and I like Casper, so he's in.
That's a good enough reason.
I had to literally look up the Studio Screamers just now, because I was like, am I losing my mind? Because I was just their opening weekend, and there was nothing. So they just were released like a day ago,
were late,
right?
Yeah. I think they just got in, which I think that was pretty on trend. They have to come all the way from China, so they get put on a boat, and sometimes it takes a long time. But listen, people seem to enjoy them. That's awesome. Were there a couple characters I would have done differently? Probably, but hey, I'm no longer in that position. So
exactly, it's someone else's problem now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I wish to go to Universal.
Right, off you go. We'll beat to the edge of the Forbidden Forest.
Where can our vacation wizards take you? Just tap the port key at portkeyvacations.com and let the magic begin.
Welcome back.
Okay.
This was actually your question.
This is my question. Yes, I'm going to get myself comfy.
Oh, boy.
There we go. Right.
Should I go refill my water real quick?
Probably.
Now might be the time to start with the alcohol. No. No. So, what was your unicorn? Kind of the one that got away. So, what's the one thing you would have loved to have created for Universal, but for one reason or another, you just never got to do it?
And why?
This is a good question. This is a tough question. I was lucky and fortunate enough to do most things, that we had the power to do. There were certain things that were we didn't have the license anymore. Would I have loved to done Hanna-Barbera? Absolutely.
Yes.
Would I have loved to put Fred Flintstone and Yogi Bear in those retro programs I did? 100%. Same with the Psycho House. Would I have loved to add that in there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Were there IPs, within, like Halloween Horror Nights? All this somehow ties back to Halloween Horror Nights.
Of course it does.
But it was a majority of, my career. So it would start out as like they would come and they say, hey, we think we're going to have these IPs, and you get really excited. And then like a week later, they'd be like, hey, that's no longer happening. So there were some situations like that where we get told IPs and we're like, oh, that's going to be awesome. And I would have done screamers on it and stuff. And then they come and they crush your dreams and say, hey, that's no longer happening. There are specific products that I wish would have happened. Some are just pandemic related, like, Tracy, I know you have a couple of them, the 5-inch shorty that we did and the Beetlejuice and stuff like that.
My prized possessions.
I'm looking at it right now that you signed. Amazing.
One of them. So I think it was 2020. It was supposed to be Jack. Okay. And then the pandemic happened and it turned into Beetlejuice, I believe.
Okay.
But the figure, it was never sculpted or produced, but I had all the concept art and the turnarounds and the packaging was done. And, I was really excited about that. It was like a old torn down circus tent as the packaging, and he was coming out of the box. So he was busting out of the circus box.
I love that.
And so there's little things like that, I wish would have happened, certain popcorn buckets, the Chucky bucket that came out and is still out, originally that was Studio Screamer Chucky.
I think that Chucky bucket will still be around in 40 years' time because there was that many of them.
Maybe. But, with the popcorn buckets, I started with Frankenstein as a screamer, and then I was going to go, okay, we're going to do Chucky, and then we're going to do Gillman, and, it didn't happen. But it's little things like that I'm like, hey, that would have been really cool. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's a needle in a haystack of, and I had so many things that got done. And I'm so fortunate that it's nothing that keeps me up at night. It's all the stuff that did come out. And when I go to Publix and see people wearing my shirts, like those are the memories I have.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's got to be a testament to your work that you don't really have that many unicorns in the sense of you came up with an idea, and obviously it has to get some sort of approval from Universal, but they saw what you did, they liked it, and they said, go with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a really cool feeling to have, because you know that you're producing this content that not only you like, but others like as well.
Absolutely. And then, I was looking at the other day, there was like a Meets design I did a couple years ago that I wish would have happened. Stuff like, little things like that, that just, they might have would have happened. And then, hey, we have too many products already, stuff like that. Let's shelve it for maybe next year. Mel's Die-In. I pitched that Mel's Die-In t-shirt
Did you?
I do love that shirt.
5 or 6 years ago, and every year I was like, hey, can we do this? And it just never happened. So I'm glad to see that concept finally made it.
And it's so cool.
That is probably my favorite. That I bought that and the sign. Those are probably my two favorite things I bought from this year's merch line.
It's so weird. It took that long to come out.
Yeah. And I think this t-shirt it's I don't think it's the art I did, but I'm just glad that, regardless of who did it, I think it's a fantastic concept. Yeah. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wish they would stick Scare Actor Dining in Mel's Die-In. And but
yes.
Universal, take my idea, run with it. It's fine. I don't need royalties.
Andrew knows some.
They listen. I mean, everybody listens, so you never know.
Andrew, you know people.
Yes, I do know people. Whether they'll answer my calls or return a call, I don't know. But I do know
Especially
people.
not now. Now they've been, he's been on that UUOP. We won't touch him with a 10-foot barge pole now.
Yeah, you were on that podcast, blacklisted.
Yeah, sorry. All right, so we've talked about what you wish that you could have done. Now let's talk about what you did do. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be a two-part question. One is what they want me to ask you, and one is what I'm going to ask you for personal reasons. So first part is, what is your greatest achievement while you were at Universal? So what you did do, what do you consider both personally your greatest achievement as well as sales wise, if you know what would have been the best?
Almost the same. I can't say the number that it was, but the house t-shirt I did, what year was it? 2 years ago, I believe. It was the purple Grim Reaper that was coming around the tombstone. I think it was 2022.
Was that not last year?
No, last year was the fortune teller palm.
Oh yes, I've got the house shirt from last year. Of course, I have.
Yeah, That was one of my favorites. Just creatively, I still look back on it and I'm like, I don't think I could do this again if I tried. And so many people just loved it. It could be like Christmas Day and I go to the grocery store and people are wearing that shirt. They're wearing it to church, like everywhere. People love that shirt. And it sold a boatload. I think it was the highest house tee at that point in time.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's one of my favorites. I have other little favorites. Most of them were probably the toys. Like when I did the Shorty figure, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. For those that really know me, I am a big toy collector and stuff like that. Yeah. So like it was something that I was able to create that I also wanted to own. The Frankenstein popcorn bucket. Geez.
I love that.
The Harry Potter wands was, I mentioned it earlier, that's just crazy. Right. And, how that happened was Warner Brothers and our office wanted to create a new wand that Ollivander created, but it wasn't like a character wand. So like it still had to have all the copy, like what is this wand made of? What feather does it come from? The wood type, all that kind of stuff. And that was all done by WB. And it was kind of like when we were working on it, I think me and the boys, Louis and Jose, did like over 100 different wand designs.
Wow.
And we all looked at each other and we're like, this is never going to happen. And 4 or 5 years later, I'm like get a notification on Twitter and somebody saw them in the parks and they got posted and I'm like, holy cow. And so that's just one of those that I still pinch myself about.
That's so cool.
It's because it's official. It's like official lore. I was standing in line waiting to purchase them and people were like freaking out. Like, I've read about this wand and this book. I had no idea what they were talking about. But I could see how passionate people were about it. I'm like, this is amazing.
That's so cool.
I love how that's how you find out, though, with a notification on Twitter.
Right?
That's usually how it went, to be honest.
And it being a wand, especially if it was me, right? And like I was in that position, I'd always have that in a wand pouch on my side. And anybody's over the house, I'd just, I'd be like, oh, what'd you say? Oh, where's this wand from? Let me talk to you about that real quick.
Yeah, I do have them. I had a closet full of Sterilite boxes with, I tried to keep one of everything I did.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing that I ended up leaving or else I'd have no more space.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So the second part to my question, for personal reasons, because of my daughter, who is a budding artist, and as well as any listeners who out there who are artists, which I know we have a lot of them. And in this day and age, with everything being so digital, I have to ask, are you still using like traditional media as far as like colored pencils, paints, pens, graphite, and paper? Or are you doing things like iPad with digital brushes, things like that? Like, what is your process for creating these designs?
Absolutely. This is where I put everybody to sleep. So I apologize, but no, I am no longer traditional at all. I always hated traditional, to be honest with you.
Really?
The first 2 years in college were all like, charcoal drawings and oil paint and stuff like that. And I was just like, can we please fast forward to the technology?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I sketched with pencil and paper, and that was kind of the extent of it. But now I'm like 90% Photoshop and I'm like 10% Illustrator. That's what we were at Universal as well. We all used Macs, and we all use something called a Wacom tablet.
Oh yeah,
which is it's essentially like a gigantic iPad.
Yep.
You just have to plug it into your computer, and it's like a second monitor basically, and you draw right on it. And mine's I think 24 inches, and it's great. You don't need this, if you have it in your head and you have it in your hands, you can work on anything. But it definitely helps, and it was something I was used to. So that's what I use personally.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I've always been so torn between and I don't know what the way of artists is as far as like the judgment on things going digital, people judging that as not being true art. But so I just wanted to get that perspective, because I know we do have a lot of very creative artistic people in our listenership.
Yes. Ultimately, it's whatever you're comfortable with. just because I do it a certain way doesn't mean anybody else has to do it a certain way. That's just like what resonates with me. Art is basically problem solving. How am I going to do this? And like, this is my way to do everything. When we were at Universal, Jose Pardo, like a brother to me, he would work digitally all day, and then he would go home and he would sit down at an easel and he would oil paint all night. And that's what he loved. Some people love watercolor, some people love digital, some people love charcoal. It's whatever you enjoy,
cool. Interesting. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
By the way, Lee, did you notice how when she started the question, she said, I first have to ask the question that they want me to ask? As if UUOP corporate is coming down on her to be like, make sure you ask these hard-hitting questions.
It was the Podfather. The Podfather put so much pressure on me.
All the things out there, making sure we ask the questions.
Lee is very abusive, Andrew.
Hey, listen, I'm taking off my headphones. So
and you do not believe a word of it.
All I'll say is HR will be in touch. There'll be a meeting.
Do not believe a word of it.
All right.
Tracy is HR, by the way.
Yeah, I was sensible of making my wife HR. So I can do what I like and she'll stick up for me.
I was going to say, and who gets in trouble the most?
Me.
Oh, yeah, that's you.
Of course.
Well, I want to preface this next question with, we all know that at the end of the day, a job is still a job, right? It is work, and there are things that come. Some are cooler than others. Some suck more than others, right? But with that being said, working at Universal is many people's dream job. Yes. So it begs the question, why did you leave?
Here we go. Listen, I was given an amazing opportunity. The universe, I won't get too religious or anything too deep into it, but the universe had different plans for me. And I was given an amazing opportunity that I had to take. For those who knew me at Universal, I always wore Roosevelt shirts. I wore them every day to work. It was something I was a fan of. They approached me with an opportunity to become an art director. And with that, I could see it was going to open up so many opportunities for me, just that I personally wanted to go try. I am so incredibly thankful for the time I had at Universal. I worked on so many things. It literally skyrocketed my career. Brian Beauregard, he found me, and he gave me this opportunity. I'll be forever thankful for him for that. It put me with amazing people that taught me so many lessons. I ultimately wouldn't be where I'm at now without being at Universal. But listen, I got an awesome opportunity from amazing people at Roosevelt's. They're now family to me, just like Universal still is. Mm-hmm. And also at the time, Universal's growing, they're expanding. Yeah. And with that comes a lot of growing pains. And it was just something at the time where creatively, our hands were getting tied a little bit. Yeah. Okay. And simultaneously, I was given this amazing opportunity at the same time. So it was kind of the universe telling me, hey, listen, you can either sit here and be unhappy with certain things, or this is an awesome opportunity. Yeah. And it was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I'll tell you that. Yeah. And I was literally thinking about it, and I went up to a restaurant at Disney Springs. I'm just thinking, am I really going to do this? Because Universal was all I knew, right? It was the only job I've ever had, the only coworkers I've ever had, and I'm going, am I really going to do this? And Steve, who those who don't know was one of the co-founders of Roosevelt's, who passed a couple months back. Amazing person. One of the most genuine, nice, caring people you will ever meet in your entire life, who also gave me another amazing opportunity, came and sat next to me at the bar in Disney Springs.
Wow.
Who didn't even have my phone number at the time or know I even lived here. And he lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. Wow. And just so happened to be here on a business trip, came and sat next to me and ordered. And I looked over and I said, I think that's Steve. And I said, hey, are you Steve, by the way? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'm Andrew. And I went home later that night going, I have my answer. The universe has told me I have to take it.
Yes.
That's you couldn't ignore that.
That is funny.
Yeah. And that's how it happened. And, So it wasn't anything, like personal with Universal. I still get lunch with those people, at least once a week, or not every other week. They're still like my family. I still went to the signing the other day to see them. What the future holds, you never know. But I was given an awesome opportunity from amazing people, and I took it.
I mean, talk about a serendipitous moment.
Absolutely.
I mean, if whether you're religious or not, believe in fate or whatever it might be, the universe definitely was telling you something at that point.
The universe is screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, I always have these itches to scratch. I always want to learn. I always want to grow. I always want to do new things.
That's good.
At the time, there's a lot of mergers going on within the company, stuff like that. And I'm looking over here and I'm going, I can now go work on Mickey Mouse. I can work on Batman. I can work on Star Wars. I can work on, Roosevelt's.
The world you ousted.
With them have almost every brand under the sun we have.
Yeah.
So I'm going, I grew up a Disney kid. I love Universal, but this opportunity to go work on Mickey Mouse and these things, I have to take. I mean, I have to do it. And it is a job, like you said, but I work all day because I'm drawing Mickey Mouse. I'm working on cartoons. And it's a blessing. I'm fortunate, but that's kind of a nutshell how it happened.
Every payday, it's like, oh, I get paid for this.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly. That's how it is.
I love how Andrew feels like we're a Universal podcast, so it's like he's justifying why he left Universal to go do something else to us. It's like, hey, you don't need to justify it to me.
Egg my house or TP my trees. Listen, I love Universal. So, but no, it's great. I love them both, right?
Yeah, there wouldn't be one without the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Andrew, for those who don't know, can you tell listeners what Roosevelt's is and just give us an insight on how working there is different from working at Universal?
Yeah, Roosevelt's is surface level and apparel brand for the fans, basically made by the fans, right? So every single person that's in this company loves the properties and the material we work on, and we're all diehard fans. And in return, we sell to the same kind of people. Everybody we sell to loves Star Wars. They love being loud wearing Mickey Mouse on their shirt. Yeah. It's those shirts that you walk around in the theme park or out in public and you turn your head going, holy cow.
Yeah.
They're conversation pieces. They're works of art at the end of the day.
Really
there's a person that creates the artwork on every shirt. And I'm lucky enough to do that. But it's an apparel brand. It's growing. We're growing like crazy. You see them in the theme parks. I'm sure a lot of people know they're sold at Universal. But yeah, it's an apparel company for the fans.
I mean, you say apparel company, but it's also in the best way possible. There's a cult-like following behind that brand. Because, I mean, I have a good buddy of mine and Producers Club member, David Griswold. Like, he is a fanatic of those. Like, if you made a Roosevelt thong, he'd wear it. Like,
he probably would.
And he would wear it proudly.
With thong he's ever worn.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all know the pose that he'd pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing that off, absolutely.
I mean, most people who are theme park fans, if you know Roosevelt, it's probably from Nate, a Paging Mr. Morrow.
Yes.
Like, he's the biggest advocate for them.
I love him.
And that's how we found out about them.
Yeah. I must admit, I already have one in my basket. And I'm just waiting for Lee to look the other way before I pull the trigger.
Oh, really? What is it? What are you looking for?
Don't tell Lee, but it's the Disney.
What?
It's the purple. You know the one that said the wallpaper.
The Haunted Mansion.
The Haunted
eyes.
Mansion. Yeah, eyes. Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah.
That's always been my favorite thing. Anyway, and as soon as I saw that shirt, I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
By the way, did anybody see we've got Trick or Treat coming out tomorrow with Sam?
Okay.
Oh, well, maybe there'll be two things in my basket then.
Yeah. Well, so, those are the things that when I left Universal and I knew, listen, this isn't that different. I'm still working on all these properties.
Yeah.
I'm still working with Universal, right? We still have shirts coming out in the parks.
Yeah.
I still deal with the same people I did every day. So there's so much, in common there. It was a very easy transition. But yeah, once you wear the shirts, you'll never wear anything else. That's how most people are, especially here in Florida. It's so humid. But yeah Steve and John, who's my boss, they created an amazing business that people are finding friends and family through. Awesome. Like Chris said, there's a massive following, and people are now finding lifetime friends through this company.
Wow.
So it, like you said, it is more than an apparel company. It's like a family.
Yeah. Also, that Killer Clowns sweater is
Yeah.
it's gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
And living in South Florida, I don't own sweaters. I live in shorts and sandals, but I'm going to have to sweat through this one.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm in Orlando still, and I work from home, but I like to wear a sweatshirt, when I'm sitting at my computer. So that's when I'll wear it. I can never step out my door, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I had temporarily forgotten about that. There will be 3 things in my basket.
Oh my God.
After tomorrow, listen, I'm bringing a lot. Listen, a lot of those properties that everybody loves from Horror Nights. I'm doing my best to bring Killer Clowns and Trick or Treat, and the team has been so awesome to accept those, to want to do programs on them. Awesome. So I hope the fans really enjoy it.
It's almost like what
definitely.
people want.
Yeah. Speaking of what the people want, Andrew, I would like to request a women's Captain Marvel shirt. Por favor.
Okay. I might be able to talk to somebody. Let me see what I can do.
Not Captain America.
Captain Marvel.
Marvel.
He has Brie Larson on speed dial, so
I'm right.
It probably does.
Captain Marvel is very underrepresented at Roosevelt.
Writing it down right now. Brie Larson wore one of my Super Nintendo sweatshirts.
Oh, that's
once,
amazing!
So
Wow.
I think we're pretty close, but
some flurgans flopping around, flying around, something. I don't know. Yeah. But speaking of, which shirt would you want to design but can't?
What shirt? I just did one that was one of my biggest bucket list items, which was Mr. Toad.
Cool.
I'm a massive Mr. Toad fan. I think he's so ridiculous, but I love the nostalgia of it. And when the team was out at D23, like I mentioned, Bob Gurr came over to the booth and met everybody. And for those that don't know, he designed a lot of the original ride vehicles and stuff like the rides at Disneyland. And we gifted him one. We gifted one of the Mr. Toad shirts I did to him.
Awesome.
So that was like so surreal. We all got photos with him and stuff like that. But I have a golden goose of what I want to do. I can't currently do it. They don't legally license it out anymore. I don't want to say it because I don't want anybody, Funko or anybody listening, don't get any ideas. But it's a Disney property, and I think one day we'll be able to do it. It should be, and that's kind of my golden goose. But I just did one, Mr. Toad, that up until that point was. Listen, it's all about what the next thing is.
It is.
I love doing, I do have those dream situations, but like I could do Mickey Mouse every day, and I'm extremely happy.
Fair enough.
Anything like that, it's so fun. Like, how can you not enjoy doing it?
Exactly.
And like I said, I'm graciously given this fortunate opportunity from John and the team at Roosevelt's and Steve that I'm able to do it.
You are the poster child for the statement of, if you have a job you love, then you never work a day in your life.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely. And you're creating what you want to buy. That was my secret at Universal was, if I walk through this gate and never worked here, what would I want to purchase? And that's what I made.
And that's perfect. Like, that's because you are the Joe Public at that point. And so that's, you don't want to create what you think people want. You want to be creating what people want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I just want to touch up on Tracy's question before, because I think I forgot to ask this, but obviously the differences between working at Roosevelt's and Universal going there. It's a quote smaller company, right? And they put you as the director. Art director, right?
Art director, yep. I'm one of the art directors.
So that gives, I'm assuming that gives you a lot more empowerment over what you can do, right? Like, are you coming up and saying, I want to go and do this, let's figure out how to get that IP? Or is it coming down to you as, hey, we got these IPs, what do you think?
It's a little bit of everything. The amazing thing about Roosevelt's is everybody has a voice. We're all fans, and ultimately, we have 2 launches a week, so there always has to be new material.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, every Tuesday and Thursday, and that is just our base business. We have Breakfast Balls, the golf brand, and they do other days as well. So we always have to be doing new stuff and a lot of stuff. So if we all think, hey, this is something, Killer Clowns, right? We haven't done it. we think there may be a crowd here. It's not going to be Mickey Mouse, but there's a crowd here. Then, let's do it. And let's create something really cool for the fans that hasn't been created yet. Same thing with Trick or Treat tomorrow, right? Like, it's something that I know there's a lot of people that really like it, and let's give them something that they haven't seen at any other store before. And that's kind of our main goal. Yes, I do come up with, a lot of the, hey, I would love to do this property and I'd love to do that property. There's a handful of us that all do that. And if one of the other art directors or creative directors is working on another property, I'll be like, oh man, I'm really jealous they're working on that. And I'll do a design for them, kind of thing. So we all kind of work together with that, we all take different collections. And, if we're really passionate about something somebody else is working on, then like I said, I'll illustrate a pattern for them because, hey, I've always wanted to do this my whole life and I've never been able to, and now it's my opportunity. So at the end of the day, I'm still illustrating every day. I'm still designing every day like I was, but just kind of in a new role.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, I sincerely thank you very much, Andrew, for coming on. It's like I said, it's been a long time in the making. We always love chatting. We can do this for hours, really, if we wanted to. But before we let you go, what should people do if they want to get into your line of work? And then also feel free to plug anything you'd like to, socials, where they can see your work, anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, let me start off by saying thank you guys for having me on. I know it's been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
It's anytime we can talk, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm a fan of everything we talk about. So like you said, I can talk about it all day long too. Just so happens to be a job. But if you want to get in this line of work, just be passionate about it. If people always ask, even if you're within the art industry, there's so many different avenues. Like, you drive down the street and you see a toothpaste billboard. Somebody made that. Yes. You get junk mail. Yeah. Somebody made that. Yeah. Like, just because you are an artist doesn't mean like you're going to do everything. So what do you want to do within that? Like, do you go home and play video games? Then you should be a video game designer. Do you love reading comic books? Then you should be a comic book designer. Like, I loved going to the theme parks and I love just consumer products and collecting things. So like, it just so happened to be that that's a thing. Like, people have to make merchandise for the theme parks. That's what I wanted to do. So, just like dig down deep and be like, okay, if I have to get up and go do something every day, like, what do I want to do? And that's going to be your answer right there. And somebody has to do it, right? Like, everything has to be made. Video games have to be made. Comic books have to be drawn. T-shirts in the theme park have to be designed. Yeah. So do that. I mean, do what you're passionate about. Do what you love. Do what you enjoy doing in your free time is my advice.
I'm just not getting paid for it. It's this.
I'm trying my best, Lee. I'm trying my best.
I know.
Yeah, I don't ask me financial advice, but
just talk to HR, Lee.
I was just going to say, HR's on holiday.
My inboxes are always open for anybody that has questions. Find me on Instagram.
Awesome.
Andrew Stonecypher. Find me on Twitter. Find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Say, hey, I'd love to do this. How do I get? How do I start? I can point you in a bunch of different directions. I can tell you the path I took. But it's not always a path everybody takes, right? So there's so many schools out there, depending on what you want to do. Just do it and be passionate about it and want to be the best.
Nice.
That was my thing, is I wanted to be the best, and I was super competitive about it. And you have to be, because somebody else will always, try and take your lunch. So that's kind of my thing. Like I said, if you want to pursue a career like I did, send me a message.
Awesome.
I'll try and respond as best I can. And best of luck to anybody that does want to get in the field.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the podcast. Now, don't forget, we want you to rate the Freeze Ray Pops and send in your recordings and send us your How Bad is Fast and Furious Supercharged jokes and your HHN 33 house rankings to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. Until next week, see you then.
Are you insane? Get out of here. The curse, it's real. The podcast is over. So, the Magi want you to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcast news and articles, check out our blog at uuopodcast.com. Contact us by emailing us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. And if you want to join the Producers Club, email us at uuopproducers@gmail.com. Silence! With your subscriptions, we shall rule for all eternity. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Not even the Magi can save you now. There is no escape. Your end shall be my beginning. Prepare yourself for your next trip by emailing Michelle at portkeyvacations.com. She can take care of all aspects of your next Universal Orlando vacation. We hope you enjoyed your podcast. Please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the prepare to forfeit your souls. Check out the other podcasts on the UUOP network. Rush of Fear, Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the theme park duo for all your West Coast news and info, the Taste of Universal, Universal Orlando Food podcast, and the newest podcast on the network, the Port Key Passport, our Disney-centric podcast. So hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I would have enjoyed this podcast a lot more if I had gotten my cup of coffee.